How are you, lads? This is Barry. I'm going to take a quick look here at the Cocoon 2.2 update on the AYN Thor. I have been using Cocoon for about a month at this stage. It's pretty much been the main front end I've been using on my Thor since I got it. And I wanted to wait for their 2.0 beta launch to happen before I jumped on. So I jumped on at that point, and pretty much every update they've put out ever since has just made it better and better and better. More features being added, more stability, more bug fixes, and I think this is a really fantastic front end for your Thor. I'm going to talk through generally why I like it here in this video, and also just show off some of the most recent additions they've made with the 2.2 update. So that is the version we are on, by the way, 2.2. They launched a big update there a couple of days ago, and then actually just yesterday, and then I think again today, they pushed out two smaller updates with some little bug fixes, I do believe. You can join their Discord for regular updates on, what's in all of the updates and what the roadmap is. There's also asset sharing on there for people who want to customize their Thor. You can talk to the devs, you can recommend things, you can report bugs, so on and so forth. So you can talk to them on their Discord about that. And I want to point out as well that this is the public version of Cocoon. I'm not a backer or anything like that, so I don't have access to their early kind of test builds that you can get if you are a backer. This is just the public release that you can grab currently on their GitHub. So what is the big appeal of Cocoon? First of all, I think they do design it with dual screen devices in mind. You can use it on a single screen Android device like a Retroid Pocket and things like that, but I'm obviously using mine on the Thor, and I do think that the majority of people who are like so excited about Cocoon are using it on a dual screen device. And I think the big selling point is it has a very professional, almost like, it looks like something produced by one of the major console makers. It has that kind of feel as a UI. It just feels very professional, lots of nice little personal touches. It feels very like handcrafted, lots of personality to it, while also still being usable as well. I find it very easy to navigate. Like, it's got all these nice features I'm going to show off in this video, but also like this is just my home screen here, and it's just like, here's your collection of games. It looks nice, but also it's just, organized in a very conventional, straightforward way. So you can just jump into a game straight away if you'd like. There is a multitude of different customization options you can use. So to address the obvious here, I have this Wii theme applied on my version of Cocoon, but this is a highly customizable front end that you can make look whatever you want. You can apply themes from the community, but you can also customize every single aspect of this front end yourself. Upload your own images, pull images off the internet, things like that. Like these, like you see I'm hovering here over Game Boy, that image for the folder of Game Boy games, you can customize that. You can customize your wallpaper. My bottom screen there, you see the floating Game Boy icon with the black and white Link's Awakening image behind it. You can customize all of that. It's incredibly granular, the level of customization you can go into. So I suppose to jump straight into the most recent additions they've added to this front end, I'll stick with the topic of themes, and I want to show off their theme shop. So we go into appearance here in the settings, and we go to the Silk Pod. And again, tying into the appeal of this front end being very much its professional feel, it feeling like a something that would be produced by a major console manufacturer. In previous updates, you could go on their Discord and pull, zip files of assets and, a load of GIFs and JPEGs and stuff like that, and you could customize the device to your heart's content. You can still do that if you want, but they now have this built-in theme shop within the front end itself. So instead of having to go on their Discord and grab a zip file and move it onto your Thor and unpack it and move it into this directory or that directory, now, like a normal console, you can just boot it up, go into the settings, and just pull one of these out. I mean, look at it's a very Nintendo presentation, obviously. I mean, it's not just, they're not going for just any old kind of console manufacturer. It evokes kind of early 2010s Nintendo, but it just looks and sounds great. The UI is lovely. The music is playing. I will say, you might have noticed there when I first went into the Silk Pod, it took a while for those images to load in. That's my issue. I have my Thor on Wi-Fi, and my lovely office here where I do all my streaming and recording from, the Wi-Fi is terrible in this room. So my PC and most of my other peripherals are hooked up with wired Ethernet. The Thor is on Wi-Fi, so that's not a Cocoon issue. That is just I'm in a room with bad Wi-Fi. So you can just, you know, scroll through here. And, you know, what's this? Float UI OLED. You know, you can download this. There's images at the bottom. Again, they're taking a second to load. That is a Wi-Fi issue on my side, but you can take a look there. There are, you know, most of the people who are uploading these themes, they do typically supply a couple of images, so you can get a feel for what they are, are offering. And I will say that, like, this aspect of Cocoon, again, this is from one of their most recent updates. But it's already just got so many people in their community contributing themes to it. Like every time I've gone on this Silk Pod, since it launched like 2 days ago to the public release, there's been something new added. It's so rapidly updating, which is great. And again, you just go in and you can see there top right of the top screen. I can press A to install it. I have a couple of themes installed already. See, there's the second image is loaded in there now, so you can get a look at that. Again, that is an issue on my side. I've got a couple of themes downloaded already, and I think I'm going to stick with my Wii theme because I really, really like it. But there's something else about the themes I want to show off as well if I just come out of this here. So I've got my Wii theme. You saw that at the start of the video. What I could also do is I can, I'll just swap over to Cocoonix theme. This was a very popular one even before they rolled out the theme shop. This is a popular one on their Discord, so I can apply that. And you'll see here, it's like, okay, you're applying this theme. To which elements of the device do you want to apply that? Because you can customize every individual granular aspect of the themes. It's not just, okay, you pick a theme and then you're stuck with that theme and that's your theme. You can mix and match assets from different themes, and you can mix and match assets from different themes, and then just upload some of your own JPEGs or your own images or your own wallpaper as well. You can mix and match. I think that's really cool. It would have been really impressive if there was just a bunch of themes you could download, and the themes were, you know, as you install them, that's it. But that's not the case. So I'll apply this, and then I'll press Y to confirm, and we'll go out here. Now, this is a cool theme. It's not my personal preference, but I think it is very well made here. Again, it's got unique UI sounds here. You hear these sounds are slightly different from what I had on my Wii theme. So I can scroll through all my games here. And there you've got, it kind of reminds me, the name obviously is taking inspiration from Netflix. It also reminds me a little bit of Emulation Station, this theme. I'm not the biggest ESDE guy, but I think aesthetically this theme really evokes that. So you've got your little blurbs there. Here's the year that the console came out, a blurb about the console, click into it there, and you've got your games. So there you go. That's the Cocoonix theme. But again, to show the customization I was talking about, all right, we'll go back to Wii, right? And we're going to apply Wii to all these, but let's just pick randomly. We'll just turn off a bunch of these things. Let's turn on the music because the Wii one has music. And let's turn off colors, so we'll keep the Cocoonix colors. And if you see, if I click into theme, then you can just, anything you've downloaded at any time, you can just go into a drop down. And if one of the themes you've installed has a smart folder logo, you can change them. You can mix and match. You can make this thing look however you want it to look. And when you're doing this, you're not overwriting any of the Wii theme assets or the Cocoonix assets. So you can see I've kind of made a bastardized. It doesn't look very good because I've just randomly grabbed a bunch of crap and thrown it together. So this is just to show off the feature. Obviously, this does not look great. But again, if you were to download 10 themes and you liked a little bit of that theme and a little bit of that theme and a little bit of the other theme, you can mix and match that. You can do that to your heart's content. I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to go into theme. I'm just going to go back to Wave. I don't know what they're kind of going for with that. And just click apply. And there we go. We are back to my Wii-centric theme here with all the sounds that go along with it and all these images. I mean, it looks so clean. It looks so clean. You've got the little floating kind of logo there at the bottom, the little bouncing logo. I think it looks so fantastic. They have really done a great job on the themes, and the person who created this theme in particular has done a really fantastic job. Another cool thing they added, I think 2 updates ago, I can't remember exactly when they added this, but this is something that I absolutely love about Cocoon, is I'll click into Game Boy Color games here, and I can take a look. Here's all my games. One thing they've added in recently is you can check within the UI, without booting up one of your emulators, you can check the retro achievements on that game, and specifically you can check your status with those retro achievements right here from the UI. When I first got my Thor, one thing I liked to do was boot up a Chrome window on the bottom screen. So you see there where the Perfect Dark imagery is. I would open up Chrome on that bottom screen, and I would go to retro achievements, and I just have my little retro achievements, and that was nice. You know, that was an okay way to work it. But Cocoon have just streamlined all of that now. So before we boot into the game, I can just press Y. Oh, sorry, that's my anti OLED burn-in settings, which are very useful. That's stock on the Thor itself. That's not a Cocoon feature. I appreciate AYN having that. So right here, it's you press Y on your game of choice. This is Perfect Dark for the Game Boy Color, a very underrated Game Boy game. I really like this game. And right here, I can just take a look before I even boot into the game. At the retro achievements, it highlights the name, it highlights the description, the points value, and then you see these ones here that have color. Those are the ones I've achieved, so I've got those. Then if you look on the bottom screen at the bottom right, you can see 6 out of 34. So I'm logged in to retro achievements in the Cocoon settings. So it's not just pulling the retro achievement data for the game, it's pulling my retro achievement profile, so it can tell me specifically you've got 6 of these achievements. Great stuff, but it doesn't just stop at the menu. So if I boot into the game here, this is the next feature we'll talk about here that they just added on their most recent update, okay? And it is the now playing screen. So obviously when you're in the menu here, that bottom screen is displaying some of your art, which looks very nice. But what they've done now is when you boot into the game, it becomes a now playing screen on the bottom. So you see there you've got your Perfect Dark logo. And this game is booting up now. In a couple of seconds, that bottom screen is going to fade out. I'm going to turn down the game audio a smidge because, you know, we're not doing gameplay testing necessarily here. So you can see there, as I'm looking at my game at the top screen, the now playing screen on the bottom in Cocoon has kind of faded down, right? So it's dimmed the imagery because I'm not touching it, I'm not using it. So it's still there. I can still see my Perfect Dark, you know, now playing image, but they've dimmed it over time so that you're not rocking the screen at full brightness, you're minimizing your risk of burning and stuff like that. Like everything else in Cocoon, that's customizable. If I wanted that now playing screen on the bottom, if I wanted it at full brightness, I could have it at full brightness. If I wanted it to go dark after 5 seconds, I can do that. If I want it to go dark after 60 seconds, I can do that. If I want it to be pitch black, I can have that. If I want it to be slightly brighter than this, I can have that. So I just press start here, and I'm working away in my game. So it isn't just for show, though. It isn't just, oh, hey, there's an image of Perfect Dark at the bottom. If I tap the screen here on my... I think I've woken it back up. And you can see there, I've got Chrome, I've got YouTube, I've got my file manager program, and I've got Local Send. Local Send is something I use to just send files back and forth over my local network. And so if I wanted to... I'll just wake it up there again. So if I want to do, you know, the multitasking that everyone shows off with their Thor, where they, you know, do some YouTube while they're gaming on the top screen, Cocoon has now made it so that this tray here at the bottom with the YouTube icon and the Chrome icon, that's now locked to the bottom screen automatically. On the previous versions of Cocoon, it wouldn't automatically do that. So sometimes what you'd get on the bottom screen is you'd get your Perfect Dark imagery, but you wouldn't have your tools here at the bottom. I will just open Chrome, and we can go to Retro Achievements. Again, I don't need to use this feature anymore because it has built-in Retro Achievement support on the OS level. But you can do that here. Again, I don't have very good internet. I should have hooked up my my phone's Wi-Fi a hotspot or something for my phone. But that just gives you an indication of how it looks, and then we can go back. So I swiped back there on my bottom screen, and now we're back to the now playing screen. But let's say I'm in my game here, and I want to look at my Retro Achievements. You see there, bottom right, the trophy logo. I tap that, and there you go. So now now I don't need to have that Chrome window open. I can keep playing Perfect Dark here, and I have my my Retro Achievements in real time on the bottom screen. That is such a great feature. A very small quality of life thing, but I really appreciate having the option to do it. Because I've become a big like Retro Achievement addict lately. And again, for a lot of time when I'm playing on the Thor, I have had Chrome open, whereas now with Cocoon, you can just have on the OS level, you can just have the retro achievements right there. So that's really fantastic. The now playing screen is really, really tremendous. If I just go home here, hang on, I'll close this. Nope, wrong hotkey. There we go. Close that. So I'll just show off the now playing customization options. Is it on this screen? Now playing. There we go. So here we go, and it even gives you an example on the bottom screen when you're customizing it in real time. So you can even see, like, how long do you want the screen to idle before it darkens? How dark do you want it to be? Like, that's very, very dark. That's very, very bright. You know, it depends on how dark you want it to be. How transparent do you want that logo on the bottom to be? Like, it's so in depth, like, it's so granular, and you don't have to engage with any of this stuff. I think it defaults to, you know, just fairly transparent, and it goes dark after a couple of seconds. But you can go in here and you can customize it to your heart's content. So that's the now playing screen and the retro achievement support. Super, super useful. Again, great for multitasking. You saw, you know, I was able to open my Chrome tab on the bottom screen. So for, like, you know, non-retro achievement uses, you could also just have your Chrome tab open to do something else, pull up a guide or watch something else. You can also just these apps here at the bottom. I've got Chrome, YouTube, File Manager, and Local Send. Actually, I don't really think I need Local Send there. That's not the best place for that. Let's clear that and let's put Pixel Guide on there. Pixel Guide is kind of what it sounds like. It is an app for saving GameFAQ walkthroughs and stuff like that. So you can customize these options here. So I think these are generally good ones to have. So if I'm playing, you know, I think I downloaded a guide for the original Legend of Zelda. So if I'm going to play the Legend of Zelda, I can just tap here on the Pixel Guide app. Again, this is a separate app. I'm not going to get too in-depth on Pixel Guide on this video, but it's kind of self-explanatory. You can see here I've downloaded a couple of guides. I've got my manual and I've got a walkthrough. I really like having the manual. I really like having the manual in Pixel Guide. So you can recapture the magic a little bit when it comes to NES and Super Nintendo games. The entire library of those systems, their entire library of booklets is online. You can find them relatively easy. So with the now playing screen on Cocoon, that stuff is just readily available there on the bottom screen. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so that's that is the now playing screen on Cocoon. And I suppose one of the last big additions to talk about when it comes to this most recent batch of Cocoon updates is their addition of pods. And these are basically other sort of like companion apps that you can use on the bottom screen while you're playing on the top screen. Kind of like some of that stuff you saw with the now playing feature, but a little bit more involved. And I'll show you here. The best example is probably if I jump into the PC gaming aspect of using the Thor. So you see the rightmost icon there on the bottom screen next to Pixel Guide, that little, it looks like the companion cube from Portal. In fact, I'm sure that's probably what they were going for. If I tap that, those are your pods. Now, it currently comes with one Flutter Key. I'm assuming there's going to be more in the future. I don't know what the current plan is, but when they first talked about the introduction of pods, it certainly sounded like there's going to be more. So right now, I've got Flutter Key on this, and what that is, if I tap it, is it's a little companion keyboard and mouse trackpad on the bottom screen. So again, specifically for PC gaming, if you know, I've got Game Native here. That's my PC. That's my PC on Android app of choice. You could use Game Hub, of course, as well. This will be really handy for if you're playing any kind of game that requires text input, that requires precise mouse input, or maybe it requires you logging into a launcher. The built-in Android keyboard is fine for that kind of stuff on Thor, but I do like that Cocoon, again, they think about things from the dual screen perspective. That, like, you've got a whole screen down there, so we can just we don't need to just rely on, you know, my entire Game Native screen being taken over by a keyboard here. So if I go up to search your games, and then I go keys down here, and I go Hitman, there we go. And it just works. And I can install a Hitman game if I so choose. I'm not going to because I don't have a lot of space left on my SD card. But we can then go back there. And I can also, a really good use of this is the mouse functionality. If you need to go into your container for one of your Steam games to tweak some settings or something like that, the mouse pad functionality is kind of a lifesaver for some things. Let me jump into Arkham City right here, and spoilers, I might post a video about trying to get Arkham City working on the Thor. I cannot get this game working perfectly for love nor money. If anyone has any tips on it, I've checked the listings on MU Ready. I've applied the known config. Separate conversation. But so if you want to tinker with your AYN or your Proton settings or whatever you have there in the container, you open the container here, and so you jump into your little Windows environment so you can mess around with the settings before you actually try and play the game. And the touchscreen, Android, the built-in Android tools for navigating this Windows environment are just not great. They're not great. They're okay, but they're not great. But with Flutter Key, I'm touching the bottom screen here, I've got very fluid, very intuitive feeling mouse control here. And I can click over here to search computer. I press keys. I go ba 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 ba. I'm just bashing the keyboard, typing gibberish just to show off the functionality. And I go back to my mouse pad. And there you go. I mean, again, this is, this is such a small thing, but it's also simultaneously kind of a big thing, because if you are like a hardcore like settings tinkerer, a guy who's trying to get PC, specifically the PC stuff, if you're trying to get these PC games up and running on your Thor, like that is one of the most exciting things about Android gaming right now, but it requires a lot of effort, right? A lot of jumping into Windows environments, a lot of messing around in settings, and when you're trying to just use the built-in touch controls on the top screen of your Thor or your other Android device, it can be quite frustrating. And this is just it's so responsive, it's so seamless, and again, it's taking advantage of the fact that you got a whole other screen down there, so let's use it. And again, this feature just launched, at least for me, on the public branch of Cocoon, and it is so responsive. I have never booted into a Windows environment in Game Native and like the mouse pad isn't working or it's not recognizing my keyboard. It has worked out of the box for me instantly, so that's really, really fantastic. Let's exit out here of our Windows environment, and let's exit out of Game Native altogether, because I'm not using Game Native right now. And I can close Flutter Key there. Yeah, so those are pods, and so again, they're going to add more stuff. It's not just the keyboard and mouse. In general, they want to have more companion apps in the pod section, so that when you're playing a game, you can look at your bottom screen. And just for things that are not DS and 3DS or Wii U, this seems like the front end for, okay, you're playing your game on your top screen, what do you want to do on your bottom screen? That really seems like a key thing when it comes to Cocoon, is they want you to have the, sorry, that's my anti-burn-in again. They really want you to have options for your bottom screen when you're playing things on your top screen. You can see there as well on the bottom screen, it was tracking my time while I was in Game Native, so you can see how long you've been playing a certain game. So when you boot into a game, it'll track it, and then when you jump out back onto the home screen, you can see there 4 minutes 20 seconds. It's paused my time, so it recognizes when I'm out of the app, right? I don't know, maybe someone again in the comments might let me know. I don't know if there's like a central place where you can see how long you've been playing your games. I think that would be really cool. I love looking, like on my PC, I love looking on Steam and going, oh my god, I played 100 hours of this, or I've only played 2 hours of this. So this feature is really useful. I don't know if there is a central, let's jump into settings in fact and see if we can find that. Okay, game session tracking. You can turn it off, of course, which is always great. It doesn't. If there is a place, if there's a centralized location where you can check that stuff, I don't know if I've seen it yet. In fact, let's go back into let's go Legend of Zelda and just see is it shown anywhere. No, okay, I don't see it. Again, I could be missing. If I press select, yes, okay, there it is. Okay, select is how you turn on your metadata. Your kind of like, give me more information about this game. And there you go. You can see there's a little 3-minute timer next to The Legend of Zelda, because I've played this game for 3 minutes. I've played Super Mario Bros. 3 for 2 minutes. There you go. So yeah, that's your game time tracking there as well. And that is, I believe that is the current list of updates for Cocoon. Again, very customizable, both in terms of the aesthetics of how you want your Cocoon to look, but also very customizable in terms of you can turn the now playing screen off, you can turn it to just dark, you can turn the game time tracking off, you can turn all that stuff off. It is super, super, super customizable, and then the end result is, as you see here, is just a very, very, very slick presentation. I mean, it is just so, so cool. It is really, really fantastic. Yeah, so I am absolutely loving Cocoon. I'm sticking with this front end for the foreseeable future. I'm always open to try out other ones, because there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the kind of Android gaming community at the moment. People are very excited about Android devices right now, and I think they should be. I think there's so many interesting things going on that it's really fun to experiment with this stuff. But for me, Cocoon is the way forward, and I'm really enjoying what they're doing. So yeah, if there's any significant updates from them in the future, I'll probably do another video taking a look at some of the other stuff. But that's probably going to do it for now. If there's any other features you want to see me take a look at in Cocoon or on the Thor in general, do leave me a comment on this channel. This is my new channel, by the way. This is going to be the first video I throw up. If you found this this channel from searching on YouTube for information about the Thor or Cocoon, I do have a main channel where I just play through games. It's just like a Let's Play channel. So you can check that out. I'll link it in the description. But if anyone for this channel has any suggestions, or you want to see me, hey, can you test such and such a game? Can you try this? Does this work? I'm playing a lot of games on the Thor, but I'm also still doing a lot of testing. I'm doing a lot of like Switch and PC, like how far can I push this thing? I mentioned Arkham City earlier in the video. I'm like, hey, can I get this game to run well? So that's the kind of thing I'm going to be doing on this channel. So if you have anything you'd like to see, leave me a comment, and I will. I'll see if I can get to it, and I'll see if I can test out whatever you recommend. Thanks for watching, pals. I'll be back with another video very, very soon. And in the meantime, you can check out my main channel if you're not already a follower. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.